Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. Now this is a French Tier 3 medium tank. That's the Somua S35. It's a Tier 3, so you may actually have seen a few of these. But this was quite a good tank in its time. It was they first started working on this tank in 1935, and by 1940 they'd actually manufactured 427 of these vehicles. Its armour was pretty good. It was actually better armed than the German Panzerkampfwagen 2 and 3, the 2 and the 3. For its time, but unfortunately the armour was no good when it was compared to very modern tanks like the KV-1. So it's not the sort of tank you actually want to come up against Tier 4 or Tier 5 heavies, because they would literally devour it by punching their shells straight through that front plate. Well, what can I say? The Germans like this tank so much. In fact, so many of them have been captured by the Germans that they actually remanufactured it as the Somua S40 with some improvements and put it into service on the Russian front. And this particular battle is taking place on Westfield, and the commander of this vehicle is Saadharta, and he is French as far as I'm aware. So let's see how he gets on in this battle. Okay, they've started. Now it has a 47mm gun, and back at the start of the war, the German Panzer 2s and Panzer 3s really couldn't compete with a gun that was that powerful. Now it has a crew of 3, a driver, radio operator, who also happens to be the loader, and the commander, who's also the gunner. So the driver would sit down in the hull, right behind that front plate, and the gunner, or the commander, would actually sit beneath that cupola, which is also one of the weak points, and the loader will be at the back, loading and feeding the shells into the tank, and of course he would have to operate the radio as well. Now as you can see, it's painfully slow when going uphill, because the engine really doesn't have a lot of power. But it makes up for that in its ability to overcome certain lower tier tanks. Okay, right, we've got some targets in sight now. It's a bit unfair that the matchmaker actually put him down in the valley when it started this game, because the problem is it is so slow that he's missed the opening stages. And now he's headed towards the village, or the north end of the village. You can see a few enemy tank destroyers over there on the north side, or northwest corner. And there is a T-29. Now that's a Soviet premium tank, also Tier 3, and he can easily punch through the armour of that tank. And there's also an American M2 medium. And they tend to have a nasty high explosive gun. Okay, engaging the T-29. Oh, he took a big hit there, I'm afraid. 108 hit points. But you see, he's just punching straight through the armour of that T-29. And he bounced around from that T-29 for 110. You really need to aim for the weak points. If you've got enough penetration, you can go through the front plate. And I think actually, yep, the enemy did actually punch a hole right through the front plate. The coupler is also a weak point, because of course it will take out the commander. Okay, we've got a Matilda down there. Now he's got a dangerous 52-pounder gun, which will actually do a lot of damage to him. Oh, he's aiming at that. No, don't attract his attention. You need to stay away from him as much as you can. You'd need to use APCR really to get through that hull. He has done some damage to the Matilda, and it's got some spotting damage on him. But most of the enemy tanks that were around up in the northwest corner have been taken out. So it's really just this Matilda now. He's going around the house. Okay, now he's exposed. And firing on the move. Well, he managed to get a penetration there on the side. 61 hit points. He's got no APCR rod to fire. He's only using standard AP. Oh, what's going to happen here? Oh, he's going in on top of him. Oh, he's crushed him. Look at that. He's crushed that enemy. He's crushed the Matilda. Drove in on top. And that's a Kamikaze because, of course, the Matilda is tier 4 and he's tier 3. That's a pretty aggressive move to take out that higher tier tank. Just drove it in and right on top of him. There's the enemy Arty, SU5. Really bit of a mistake to expose yourself at that point because obviously he's now going to get absolutely torn to shreds. And Saadharta's actually now ignoring the SU5 has been taken out. He was taken out by the Valentine too. Okay, so he's going to the cap. There's only 3 enemy left, and at this moment they're near their own cap, so they're not going to be able to drive over there because this tank's so slow. But he's only got 18 hit points left now after that engagement with the Matilda. So it's worth it just to cap this one out, and because the opponent that he most fears is the Lux, because he's got a cannon that will actually just rip straight through the Somua. And that Lux is going to have difficulty trying to get back here in time to reset the cap, but he's probably on the way. And it looks like the T-40 will try to intercept him as he goes down the valley. And I think the Valentine and the Somua are both getting together so that they can sort of like act as meat shields for each other to try and save their hit points. There's the Lux. Okay, he's almost in sight now. They can see him. Okay, now they're shooting at him. But he's engaging the T-40. Oh, the Lux got him. Yeah, I thought that might happen. The Lux has got a cannon which can actually just go straight through. But because they had so many hit points, cap points already, they managed to cap out in time, even though Saadharta was taken out with that shell from the Lux. Such a pity that he lost it just at the end. But anyway, let's have a look at the end of battle results. Oh, that's the wrong screen. That's the right screen. Okay, he got a second-class tanker in that battle. He also picked up a duelist medal because he took out and killed 2 enemy tanks that had actually done damage to him. The Matilda was pretty spectacular way to kill him. He also did a fire for effect medal because he did more damage than the hit points of his own vehicle. And because he took out a higher tier vehicle, he got a Kamikaze. And he did that because he rammed the Matilda to death. Now, a lot of people think that they can ram an enemy tank, and unfortunately, if they try it in a light tank, they come off the worst. But on this occasion, it was one medium versus another medium, and also I think Saadharta had the position in favour because when he leapt on over that cliff onto the Matilda, he was actually coming down on top of him, which meant obviously that he lost less hit points in the process because he had suffered some damage from the Matilda. And if he tried to ram him properly, I think he probably would have come off worse, or in fact, both of them would have died in the action. But quite an interesting battle, especially for that Kamikaze. Well, when it came to hit points, Saadharta came 5th on the table with 338 hit points. When it came to kills, he was second, or joint second, with 2. And when it came to base XP, he was second with 525 experience points. He fired 16 rounds, got 10 direct hits, 5 penetrations, did damage of 338 hit points. He received 4 hits, 2 penetrations, 2 non-penetrations, and 1 hit as a result of flash damage from the SU5. He blocked damage of 165 hit points, and 100 of that hit points was from the T29 that hit him, and the other was from the Matilda, which was a block shot. He spotted 2 enemy vehicles. I think one of those must have been the SU5. He damaged 3 of the enemy but killed 2 of them, and did damage assistance of 205 hit points. He also managed to get 43 capture points when they captured the cap, but obviously he was killed after the capture had actually been achieved, so those points wouldn't be lost because the game had ended at that point, even though he was subsequently killed. He received 8,939 on a standard account and received another 5,000 credits for a personal missions payout. And after repair and ammunition resupply, and you can see the repair cost is actually very cheap, he was actually left with 12,652 credits. He received 525 base XP, and he got a personal missions payout of 131, bringing his total to 656 experience points altogether. So well done on your Kamikaze, Saadharta. Probably the best way to deal with that Matilda. And actually, when I saw that there was a Matilda, I thought, uh-oh, this is going to be a problem, because the Matilda's got a pretty tough hull. And normally the 47mm gun on the S35 might not have enough penetration to actually get through the hull of a Matilda unless you were using APCR. Because with APCR, you can get through 98mm of armor. But without it, you can only get through 66. So depending on the angle of that Matilda, he did stand a reasonable chance that he would bounce your shell. But you managed to get through on some of those shells, so it did seem to work. So well done. If you enjoyed this replay, please give it a like and do subscribe to our channel. And hopefully it'll be your replay that I'll be featuring in our next video.